Well, good morning, everybody. Denise here. Welcome to my channel. I am your Ascension mentor. It's a very cloudy day today, and so I'm sitting next to one of my windows next to Indy back there. He's got his bow and arrow. He's doing his protection thing. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about our energy field and how we affect our environment, namely our trees. And one of my other videos, I talked about why it's good to be a tree hugger. And it's all about our energy field. It is all about our heart field. And, you know, trees can read our emotions through our electromagnetic field, our heart field. So when we're walking in the woods, the trees, they know what our intentions are. They know where our heart is at. They know pretty much if we're coming out to cut one of them down or to, light a cigarette and thrill the butt and burn the place down. So trees are very, very tuned in to our electromagnetic field. Now remember, energy is everywhere. There's no empty space between anything. But I find it really interesting because trees, they have their own monitoring system, and they can tell what's going to happen in our environment because they work in coherence and cooperation with the environment around them, namely the animals and the plants. And the trees, I like to say, is the conduit. How we treat the animals and the plants and the trees is like a conduit to Gaia. It's like communicating to Gaia through the trees and the plants and the animals. Science has proven that there's brain activity, and trees and plants, they can learn and they can remember. So there is intelligence there. So, we are really not the supreme being. But, they can thrive in the environment. They have this underground system, the root system, but it's an energetic system, and trees can communicate with each other. It's like this group consciousness, and they can communicate with each other. And when my daughter was fighting cervical cancer, that's one of the things that I would do is I would go out in my yard and I would talk to my trees, and I would send the energy through the trees. And I wanted my daughter, I told the trees, let's send out the information that she can find the right guidance and knowledge that she needs to help her with her particular cancer. And, she's cancer-free today, and I attribute that to all of the things that we were doing. She did not do chemotherapy. She did not do radiation. She fought her oncologist because her oncologist wanted to go in and just take all of her reproductive system out, just take everything out. And she fought her doctor and talked her oncologist into going against what was recommended by the board of the hospital. They have recommended guidelines. Well, we're just going to do this. It's all cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Well, she talked her oncologist into just doing a couple lymph node removals, and sure enough, she was clear and clean. So, she was able to get strength and get the correct information that was needed to further her healing. So what does that have to do with us? Do we feel like we are cooperating with nature? What does nature do when we step out of our vehicle and step out in the woods? Does it shrink away from us, or is it happy to see us? The shamans and your witches who love to go out in the woods, did everything in the woods, they were pretty much welcome because they knew what was in their heart. And they knew by what they put out in electromagnetic field. So the birds kept chirping and the animals, it was business as usual. But when most of us go out in the forest, at first, they're silent because they are, checking us out and wondering, how are we going to treat them when we're out there. And but they can sense us before we even walk by them. They know exactly through a hard field what our intentions are. And as humans, froze there for a minute, as humans, we are wired for a deep connection with the earth. And so many of us have programmed to step away from that, to disconnect. And my other video that I did, I talk about how we can go out there and communicate with the trees, and how that helps us reconnect to something that we were wired to do in the first place. Because when you think about it, how do animals know when something's going to happen outside? When the tsunamis came, the elephants and the animals were already going for higher ground. How did they know? Because they still had that connection. They still had that heart connection, and they did not cut the wires, for that connection to Gaia, which we have done. And so, this is all part of this event and this ascension. How can we ascend and how can we experience the event when we are not responsible for our own electromagnetic field, what we are putting out in that field? Where our heart is at. I mean, we could be meditating 10 hours a day, but still, if we're not in heart coherence, meditation and heart coherence are not the same thing. It's totally two different things. And I'm not cutting meditation. I'm just saying that, a lot of us think that's all we need to do. Or, a lot of us do not think nature and this planet have anything to do with our ascension. And, I go out in the morning and I have a lot of trees, and I just feel I'll go out in the morning after getting husband off to work, and if it was a busy morning, I'll go out and feed my horses and connect with the trees, and then I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm right back into heart coherence. I'm ready to go. Even J.R.R. Tolkien talked about this when he wrote Lord of the Rings. I mean, he was talking about our connection to nature, Middle Earth, where all of the nature spirits abide. And, if you remember that movie, remember the tree ants? I mean, I cheered when the tree ants woke up and Treebeard, and they went and they kicked Saruman's butt. And I just laughed. I thought it was great. And, that is what could happen with us. I mean, if we are not in communication and we're not living harmoniously with the rest of nature, we're going to get our butts kicked, people. And, we already know this planet can survive very well without us. Probably do a whole lot better. But, working with trees is really interesting because they were working with trees and found out that there's these electrical potentials that can help predict earthquakes. So if and I've said this before, if we communicate with nature and we communicate with Gaia, we can get the information of what's coming. And we can also help determine what kind of weather patterns we have. We're in weather wars right now. We know that. And it's because we've become so complacent about how we interact with this planet. Why, if we don't care, why would she care? So even the indigenous people, they talk about this all the time. If we have a connection with this planet and we talk to her, she's more inclined to help us out. And I have my video that I put out about chemtrails, how I go out there and I talk with the elementals and I talk with Gaia, and I can clear the chemtrails over my house. So there's proof that this, you know, this is possible. So it's just a short video on, you know, one of the things that we can do to further our ascension and assist in this event. So many of us are just sitting around waiting for it to happen. It's not going to happen. It's all an individual process. We are starting to wake up to this. Yes, there are waves of energy coming in. We know that. We feel it. But we have work to do, and those, you know, it's a choice. We have to get in there and do our work and connect with this planet and connect with the nature and really clean up our act. Just sitting around and waiting for it to happen isn't really what, you know, it's the journey. I've said this before. It's the journey. Sitting and waiting around for this going to happen is not going to help us. I mean, it's all about growing and learning and the journey, how much fun the journey can be. Sitting around and going, oh, it's not happening, and, you know, I'm just tired of waiting. That's exactly what they want us to do, and I've said this before. So here's one of the things. I've talked about trees before. I've talked about nature before. I can't express this enough about how important this is. So trees, they can tell our emotions, just like our animals. They can read our electromagnetic field. They can read our heart intention. And so many of us are walking around in non-coherence, and we're not happy. Even though we know about the ascension and we know about the event, we're still very unhappy, and things are not going our way, and we have indecision, and we can't sleep, and we're sick, and it's because of this. It's because we've lost our connection with this. It's because we've been programmed to stay away from this, and we forgot how to connect with this and activate this center. And so this is what I do. This is part of what I do. So just another short video. Get out there, really connect with nature, and you know, if you don't know how to get into heart coherence, there's me and there's people who are like me. You know, anybody that's associated with HeartMath Institute, we are licensed and we've been taught how to do this again and how to reconnect. And I know there's a lot of stubborn people that think they can do it on their own. I did too, you know, but there was that missing link, and this was the missing link. So anyways, that's just all I had to say today. Have a great weekend and get out there in nature and really worry about what it is you're feeding the field.